I was like dating older guys, right? I was, what, 20?
I was only 15 years old, so I didn't even have a car. I didn't have a license.
She made the world laugh, but behind that signature smile was a private truth she never dared to share. Until now. At 79, Goldie Hawn, the effervescent icon of Hollywood's golden age, is finally pulling back the curtain on a chapter that's remained quietly tucked away. It's not about the movies, the awards, or even the fame. This is something far more personal. And no, it's not the man you think. For the first time, she's confessing who truly held her heart all along. From surprise revelations to an off-script Oscars moment no one saw coming, this is the story she never planned to tell until life, and one very real moment, changed everything. Ready to find out what she's kept hidden? Early ambitions and creative roots. Goldie Hawn's story begins in the vibrant heart of a culturally rich household in Washington, D.C. Her mother owned a dance school and a jewelry shop, while her father was a classically trained musician who worked as a band leader. This unique blend of artistic environments helped shape Goldie's earliest experiences. From a very young age, she was exposed to rhythm, movement, and performance, not as abstract ideas, but as the very fabric of daily life. Her home was a place where music flowed freely, and dance was as much a form of communication as conversation, nurturing the spark of performance in her soul. While her upbringing seemed joyful and creatively abundant, a quiet shadow lingered, one she wouldn't fully understand until much later. Goldie and her sister Patty were unaware that they once had an older brother, Edward Jr., who died as a baby before Patty was born. The silence surrounding his death became a subtle presence in their family dynamic. Though not openly discussed, the loss shaped the emotional atmosphere in her household. Her parents carried their grief quietly, and that unspoken sorrow likely influenced the emotional depth Goldie would later bring to her performances. The absence of her brother, a silent thread in the family's story, gave Goldie an early sensitivity to emotional nuance, an asset that would eventually make her a compelling performer beyond just her comedic charm. As soon as she learned to walk, Goldie began her passion for dance. By the time she was 3, her mother had already enrolled her in ballet and tap classes at her school. And, of course, she went on to show great talent by age 10, performing already in the Nutcracker with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. This was not a casual hobby, but the beginning of a lifetime oriented toward performance. During her mid-teen and early 20s, she continued her dancing career, started teaching, and eventually ended up managing her own ballet school. Early on, her discipline, grace, and determination set her apart, indicating that she was serious about the arts. By the age of, it seemed, world-class standards. Attending American University for Drama, Goldie saw no point in restricting her need for performance within the walls of a classroom. She dropped out of college and started working full-time as a go-go dancer in dance halls across New York and New Jersey. The world soon noticed her high-voltage personality and electric stage presence. Though still a few years away from the dazzling lights of Hollywood, she was already paving the way. To quit college so dramatically was dangerous, but it testified to the unshakable faith she held about her way. It was, indeed, a heroic act from a young girl born to charm the world. Her leap from smoky nightclubs to the national spotlight wasn't just fast. It was explosive, and no one saw it coming. Rise to stardom. Goldie Hawn's rise to stardom began with a dazzling splash of laughter. In 1968, she joined the cast of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, a wildly popular sketch comedy show that defined television humor for a generation. With her infectious giggle, wide-eyed innocence, and impeccable comedic timing, Hawn became an instant favorite among viewers. Her recurring character, a bubbly, somewhat ditzy blonde, captivated audiences and quickly made her a household name. But beneath the playful exterior was a sharp performer who knew how to deliver a punchline with perfect rhythm and nuance. Laugh-In provided the perfect platform for Goldie's unique charisma, and it wasn't long before Hollywood came calling with bigger opportunities. That opportunity came in the form of the 1969 film Cactus Flower, where Hawn played a free-spirited young woman caught in a romantic web involving a dentist and his reluctant lover. The role was a significant departure from her television persona, allowing her to showcase emotional range and subtle vulnerability. Critics and audiences were stunned by her performance, and the Academy took notice. Goldie won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress at the 1970 Academy Awards. It was a turning point in her career, one that solidified her as more than just a television comedian. With the golden statue in hand, Hawn had proven she had both comedic chops and dramatic depth, opening the door to more complex and varied roles in the years to come. It was during the 1970s and the 1980s when Goldie Hawn was probably building up the most impressive filmography that merged both commercial aspects and critical acclaim. The star of several high-grossing films, such as Shampoo, where she starred with Warren Beatty in 1975, and Private Benjamin, which she starred as well as co-produced in 1980. Hawn played a spoiled widow in Private Benjamin who impulsively joins the army, only to find she has more inner strength than she knew. The film was incredibly successful and garnered her another Academy Award nomination, this time for Best Actress. Those roles solidified her as one of the few female leads to really prove herself as a bankable star who could carry a film on her own. At a time when most male comedy and drama dominated the industry, Goldie Hawn created her unique space. Not just an inner part of a romantic interest or small supporting roles, she was the face of the films by herself, leading comedies with a mix of wit, emotion, and that trademark charm. Generally, the stereotypical characters whom was usually portrayed by her were underestimated at the beginning, but something at all times cropped up to inform that the characters were shown in much better light and had much more intelligence and strength than expected. Hawn's star never dimmed, proving how she always stayed consistent in the comedy genre, which was primarily held by men during her time, making her really revolutionary and highly inspiring. It showed that women are very much capable of being funny, warm, and the star at that. Her first two marriages. Before Goldie Hawn became half of one of Hollywood's most enduring couples, she experienced two marriages that ended in heartbreak. Her first marriage was to dancer and actor Gus Triconis, whom she met in the late 1960s. At the time, both were pursuing artistic careers, and their shared love of performance initially bonded them. They married in Hawaii in 1969, just as Goldie's fame was starting to skyrocket. However, while her career soared with television and film roles, Triconis struggled to find consistent work. The imbalance between their professional lives created a quiet but growing rift. Goldie's schedule became demanding, filled with travel, press, and production commitments, while Gus remained on the fringes of Hollywood. This divergence in career paths led to increasing emotional and logistical distance, and though their split wasn't explosive, it became inevitable. Following the end of her first marriage, Goldie found love again, this time with musician and actor Bill Hudson of the Hudson Brothers. They met in 1975 during a first-class flight and married less than a year later. Their connection was fast and passionate, and together they had two children, Oliver and Kate. However, Goldie's doubts about traditional marriage reportedly surfaced early. On their wedding day, she asked Hudson, "Are you sure we did the right thing?" A moment, he later said, haunted him. Bill was ready for stability and a structured family life, while Goldie, still navigating the pressures of fame and independence, was more ambivalent about settling into domestic life. Their contrasting views on marriage and commitment led to growing tension behind closed doors, and in 1980, Hudson filed for divorce. Goldie and Bill's marriage deteriorated, affecting not just their relationship, but their status as co-parents. After the divorce, Hudson accused Goldie of making it difficult for him to maintain a relationship with their children. Over time, Oliver and Kate grew estranged from their dad and publicly threw their support behind Kurt Russell, Goldie's long-term partner. Hudson voiced extreme frustration and sadness about what he perceived to be an organized effort to erase him from his children's lives. Goldie, on the other hand, claimed to focus entirely on providing a stable, loving environment for her kids. Within that setting, the contrast between public image and private pain became exacerbated as the children, especially Kate, strutted around calling Russell their real dad, plunging Hudson into greater emotional chaos. Goldie's two ex-husbands criticized her from their own perspectives, thus creating competing portraits of the woman behind the Hollywood smile. Triconis claimed she changed after fame arrived, becoming more distant and drawn into the celebrity lifestyle. Even more scathing and acerbic, Hudson labeled her manipulative and selfish, disputing any claims she made about an open marriage. While one-sided, the statements serve to signify how difficult it is to have private relationships in public view. Goldie's rising stardom shifted the scales in the two marriages and altered the manner in which she was regarded in public by the men who had once loved her. The unlikely reunion. Goldie Hawn first met Kurt Russell in 1966 when they were cast in the one and only genuine original family band. At the time, Goldie was 21 and already carving a path in show business, while Kurt was just 16, a young actor still getting his start. Though nothing romantic developed between them during that project due to the age gap and their mutual disinterest in dating fellow actors, Goldie would later recall thinking he was adorable. The encounter was brief and professional, yet it planted a seed that would remain in the background of her memory. Neither could have known then that this seemingly ordinary collaboration would eventually evolve into one of the most iconic and enduring partnerships in Hollywood history. 17 years later, that long-dormant connection would spark back to life during casting for the 1984 film Swing Shift. Goldie had already signed on for the project and was present at Kurt Russell's audition. As the story goes, Kurt arrived slightly hungover and nervous. Attempting to break the tension, he blurted out, "Man, you've got a great figure," as Goldie walked in. It was a bold, even awkward line, but instead of taking offense, Goldie laughed and replied with grace and humor. That spontaneous, imperfect moment shattered the years of distance between them. It wasn't scripted or polished, but it reminded Goldie of Kurt's authenticity, an increasingly rare quality in the circles she navigated as a major Hollywood star. On the very next possible date they booked, and it was anything but a normal date, the night began at the Playboy Club, dancing the swing jazz movements while soaking in the energy of the evening. At first, it ended up with looking at a house that Goldie had just bought, but for which she had not yet received the keys. Instead of going home, the two climbed into the house through a window, effectively breaking into her home. They found some empty rooms and began laughing and looking around until the police arrived, baffled that they discovered an actress with her date trespassing on what would soon become her own property. That messy and funny twist didn't ruin the date. It just made it more memorable. It didn't end the evening at a hotel because it was glamorous. but rather because it was necessary for partners to bond over shared mischief and spontaneity. From that night onward, Goldie and Kurt's chemistry was palpable, and working on swing shift only cemented their bond further. Goldie saw past Kurt's good looks and charm to the honesty and humility, the very traits that meant a lot to her. During the course of filming, their relationship turned swiftly from playful dalliance into something much deeper. What had begun as a refamiliarization between two actors had now begun to grow into something much more significant. Goldie saw in Kurt not only a husband, but somebody who she could really trust. A man who wasn't looking for her fame, but for what she really was. Their love affair had officially begun, not with a bang, but with authentic laughter, and that spark hadn't died in 17 years. Building a blended family. When Goldie Hawn began dating Kurt Russell in the early 1980s, one of the first things she noticed wasn't just his charm or appearance, it was the way he treated her children. At the time, Goldie was a single mother to Oliver and Kate Hudson, both still quite young. She brought them to the set of Swing Shift during filming and quietly watched how Kurt interacted with them. What stood out wasn't any grand gesture, but his natural ease around them. He wasn't trying to win them over. He simply treated them with kindness, patience, and genuine interest. Goldie later said that watching him with her kids was the moment she knew he could be more than just a boyfriend. He didn't just accept the idea of her having children, he embraced it, stepping into their lives with steady, respectful care. Their family grew in 1986 with the birth of their son, Wyatt Russell. By then, Kurt had fully integrated into the lives of Oliver and Kate, while Goldie had also formed a bond with Kurt's son, Boston, from a previous relationship. Together, they created a truly blended family that defied Hollywood expectations. There were no lines drawn between his and hers, only ours. Wyatt grew up surrounded by half-siblings who never felt half anything. Goldie and Kurt prioritized unity over structure, letting love lead the way rather than letting biology dictate boundaries. In a world where families often fracture under pressure, theirs became stronger with each passing year. The most significant aspect of family life was that Goldie and Kurt decided to withhold marriage from their lives, neither creating incomprehensible doubts nor confusion to all, glaringly to the outside world. They considered that their union did not require laws to be recognized. For them, it mattered most that they got up each day and chose each other's presence without any external coercion, rather than any valued wedding ring. Here, love meant action commitment, not so-called pieces of paper. Kurt once stated, "It's not about ceremony, it's about relationship." It would set for their children an example of an entirely different partnership, the kind of partnership nurtured in respect, the freedom of person, and a deeply felt connection which did not borrow from traditions to seem legitimate. From different angles, Goldie, who is twice divorced, and Kurt has a more traditional upbringing, found common approaches to parenting. They were abundantly nourished with core values such as the truth, emotional openness, and creative thinking. The casa was not the most established or rule-enforced, but it was nurtured with warmth, humor, and mutual support. Goldie contributed individuality whilst supporting all around, so that it achieved a beautiful balance. Speak to their children now, and they will do so with much depth and feeling about the weird environment they grew up in. A home where love always reigned, boundaries were respected, and all fit within their folds, regardless of origin. Their home life may have been rooted in quiet devotion, but once the spotlight hit, something truly magical happened. Public love, private strength. Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell have always had a unique way of blending public appearances with authentic warmth. One of their most iconic moments came at the 1989 Academy Awards, where they took the stage together to present. Their light-hearted banter and natural chemistry charmed the audience, with Goldie playfully asking if Kurt's comment was a marriage proposal, to which he coyly responded, "We'll talk about that later tonight." It was classic Goldie and Kurt, witty, affectionate, and completely in sync. Years later, in 1996, they appeared together again at the premiere of The First Wives Club, where Goldie starred alongside Diane Keaton and Bette Midler. Kurt didn't steal the spotlight, but stood beside her with quiet pride, reinforcing the strength of their partnership without words. Their collaborative magic wasn't limited to red carpets. In 1987, they starred together in Overboard, a romantic comedy that quickly became a fan favorite. The film showcased their on-screen compatibility, blending humor, charm, and tenderness in a way that felt entirely genuine. Their chemistry was undeniable, not because of dramatic plot twists, but because their connection felt real. Decades later, in 2018, they reunited on screen in The Christmas Chronicles, playing Santa and Mrs. Claus. Goldie's role was brief in the first installment, but expanded in the sequel, The Christmas Chronicles 2, where audiences got to see them share the screen more fully once again. Their portrayal of the iconic holiday couple wasn't just whimsical. It was heartfelt, reflecting decades of real-life love and companionship. Almost one of the most emotional events in public view for Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn came in 2017 when they received stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, side by side. During the ceremonies, Kurt's remarks surprised even Goldie. Looking at her, he said, "To you, I owe my wonderful life." It was such a very personal moment that Goldie cried from the reminiscence, which echoed in the hearts of fans from all over the world that day. Not only was it a celebration of their careers, but it was also a celebration of their bond. For a couple that has always celebrated substance over spectacle, it meant so much. Gold stars immortalized side by side, like the lives they have always lived. They have been so very famous, yet Goldie and Kurt consciously chose a way of life steeped in simplicity, unencumbered by publicity. They have often talked about the importance of stepping back from Hollywood for family time and their personal well-being. They go out west to their homes in Colorado and Palm Desert, far from the Hollywood gaze. Be it hiking, casual evenings with the grandchildren, or holed up at home, just the two of them. They protect their private world ferociously. Behind every glam appearance, there is a couple that cherishes laughter at the kitchen table as much as applause from the crowd. Aging, love, and elasticity. Goldie Hawn has never shied away from speaking candidly about love, especially when it comes to the complexities of long-term relationships. Now in her late 70s, she offers a refreshingly honest take on monogamy and attraction, two topics often glossed over in celebrity conversations. Goldie has acknowledged that in any long-term partnership, it's natural to feel drawn to other people from time to time. What matters, she says, is not the impulse, but the choice to stay true to your partner. For Goldie and Kurt, trust has always been the bedrock of their relationship. They've cultivated an environment where openness is encouraged, and honesty isn't just welcomed, it's essential. This transparency, she believes, has helped them weather the inevitable ups and downs that come with sharing a life together for over 4 decades. One of Goldie's favorite metaphors for love is elasticity. She often describes her relationship with Kurt Russell as flexible, able to stretch without snapping. In her view, successful relationships aren't about perfection or rigidity, but about resilience. Couples must be able to bend during moments of stress, disagreement, or change without falling apart. Over the years, Goldie and Kurt have certainly faced challenges, from the demands of Hollywood careers to the complexities of raising a blended family. But their bond has held strong, largely because they never demanded constant harmony. Instead, they allowed space for personal growth and emotional fluctuation, trusting that the core of their connection would remain intact. The humor has been the crux of their survivorship in the relationship for decades now. Goldie and Kurt definitely would have to be characterized as people to hardly ever lose their light-hearted line of repartee, be it at a red carpet event or in the most private of moments in their home. Goldie often says that laughter is, and always will be, the glue that holds them together, and the bigger aspect of their life to find joy in an ordinary day tends to keep their relationship going. For though laughter, respect by each other could really prove, it is much praised by both in every media interview. They talk as partners in love, remembering that they are individuals on their own. And this has paved the path for creating an atmosphere of encouragement rather than competition, which again is a rarity in show business, where egos come up at all levels. Their lightheartedness is not for show only. It is a good sign of the emotional absence that develops regarding knowing you actually understand and appreciate someone's honesty. Health revelation and fallout. At the 2025 Academy Awards, Goldie Hawn delivered one of the most unexpectedly emotional moments of the evening, not through a scripted speech or dramatic performance, but through an unfiltered moment of vulnerability. While presenting the award for Best Animated Feature alongside Andrew Garfield, Goldie candidly revealed that she was struggling with her vision. "I'm completely blind. I am," she admitted, referring to the cataracts that had affected her sight in recent months. Her words, spoken without pretense, immediately hushed the room. In a space often known for polished appearances and carefully rehearsed lines, Goldie's admission stood out as something raw and real. It wasn't planned, it wasn't flashy. It was just honest, and that's what made it resonate. As the moment unfolded, Andrew Garfield responded with warmth and grace. Clearly moved by her confession, he stepped in to help her read the nominees, gently guiding her through the rest of the presentation. Their exchange was subtle but deeply human. Garfield didn't overshadow her or make the moment about himself. Instead, he offered quiet support that allowed Goldie to maintain her dignity on stage. The way they navigated the moment together felt natural and compassionate, highlighting a kind of generosity rarely spotlighted during awards season. Goldie, though briefly shaken, carried on with poise, showing resilience in real time. It was a small gesture in a grand ceremony, but it struck a chord with audiences both in the room and at home. In the hours and days that followed, the responses of the media were swift and overwhelmingly sympathetic. The devotees hailed Goldie for being brave, saying that the very moments were heartfelt, brave, and deeply human. The social media portals were briskly packed with messages of sympathy, coming from fans and fellow stars alike. It was a surprise for many, not only because of the revelation itself, but also because she made such a personal hurdle so openly and calmly. In an industry that always puts looks above anything, her willingness to speak about something so vulnerable as vision loss was striking. It sparked discussions on aging, health, and grace under public scrutiny, discussions that hardly ever happened on a night usually reserved for glitter and glamour. Backlash and unwanted spotlight. In the days following the 2025 Oscars, what was initially viewed as a touching and vulnerable moment for Goldie Hawn soon became a source of personal discomfort. According to reports, Goldie privately expressed regret over her on-stage admission about her declining vision due to cataracts. Though her candidness was met with public empathy, she hadn't anticipated the volume of attention it would generate. Sources close to her revealed that she felt embarrassed, not because she had anything to hide, but because the moment quickly became the centerpiece of Oscar night commentary. What she had intended as a brief, honest remark was now being analyzed in headlines, sound bites, and social media threads. The unintended spotlight left her feeling exposed in ways she hadn't prepared for. Adding to the discomfort was a wave of media speculation about Goldie's appearance during the ceremony. As is often the case when celebrities make high-profile appearances later in life, some online commentators and tabloid outlets began to scrutinize her looks. Without any direct evidence, various publications speculated that she may have undergone cosmetic procedures such as facelifts or fillers. While Goldie has never confirmed any such treatments, these assumptions circulated widely. Critics and so-called experts weighed in, detracting from the grace and presence she brought to the stage. Instead of focusing on her career or her contribution to the Oscars, attention shifted toward her physical appearance, a trend that has long plagued older women in Hollywood more than their male counterparts. The discourse surrounding Goldie overshadowed her position at the Oscars. With Andrew Garfield, she was there to commend the animators and present a prestigious award. All eyes went off the nominees and winners, and out of focus on the gossip surrounding Goldie and her disclosure of her health problem. Goldie's consideration and poise became lost in the maelstrom of viral gossip and insinuation. She could not be honored as a veteran actress who handled a personal moment with dignity. She became fodder for the gossip columns. It served as a harsh reminder of how swiftly public discourse can change, and how ill-fated even the best intentions and purest moments can become. Just when the spotlight felt a little too harsh, an unexpected dose of humor brought her back to center. Family humor and personal choices. In the aftermath of her emotional Oscars appearance in 2025, Goldie Hawn found herself at the center of a sweet and humorous family exchange that helped lighten the mood. Her son, actor Oliver Hudson, took to Instagram with a playful jab, joking that his mother seemed to prefer Andrew Garfield over him after their heartfelt on-stage interaction. In typical Hawn fashion, she didn't shy away from the joke. She replied with a witty comment saying, "I was talking to Andrew," fully leaning into the humor. This cheeky back-and-forth delighted fans and offered a glimpse into the kind of close, teasing relationship Goldie shares with her children. It wasn't just a cute moment. It was a testament to the warmth and laughter that define her family dynamic. Around the same time, Goldie reportedly turned down an offer to appear on the UK's Celebrity Big Brother, a high-profile opportunity that many might have accepted in a heartbeat. The reason? Her ongoing vision issues. According to insiders, she felt that her cataracts and resulting challenges would interfere with her ability to fully participate in the show. But beyond her medical condition, the decision also reflected something deeper: Goldie's selective approach to fame. She's never been one to chase the spotlight for its own sake, and her choice to step away from the opportunity was consistent with her long-standing commitment to personal comfort and authenticity over public exposure. Whatever the glitz of her working career might be, the family has always remained at the center of Goldie's life. She has a strong bond with her children, Oliver, Kate, and Wyatt, and her grandchildren, characterized by inside jokes, common memories, and genuine love. From family travels and comic Instagram moments to the everyday minutiae, Goldie is there, active and childlike. Kate Hudson has openly credited her mother for being both a stabilizing force and a fountain of joy. Their closeness is not a facade. It's an organism that breathes and exists in their daily lives. Wholehearted participation in her family life means showing up for the grandchildren's birthday parties, attending school functions, and never missing movie night. These acts speak volumes in defining her priorities beyond any Hollywood award could. If you enjoyed this look into Goldie Hawn's incredible journey, don't forget to like, leave a comment with your favorite Goldie moment, and subscribe for more unforgettable Hollywood stories. And hey, don't go anywhere. Click the next video on your screen for more behind-the-scenes moments from the stars you love.